I think I already know your answer to the next question, but I'm going to ask anyways because I want to hear you say it. So, and I'm pointing to Emmy Jo right now. What makes you smile?
We have wonderful friends here in Celina that I'm so thankful for. They are just a huge blessing in our life. And that makes me smile.
I could say one other thing that makes her smile. Our donkey.
Welcome to CelinaRadio.com. Recorded right here in Celina, Texas. A quiet little dusty, sleepy town that has absolutely nothing going on. Welcome to another episode of CelinaRadio.com. Now, today's episode is going to start off just a little different than normal. As you may notice, there's no background music. And there's a reason for that. And the reason is because I want to take you back in time with me. If you're anywhere near my age, and I'm 54 years old, then you're absolutely going to love this trip back in time. It's 1972. You're just a kid. Mom's in the kitchen making lunch. And you're about to turn on the television set to see what you can find. And then you change the channel just one more time. And little did you know that the theme song of the TV show that you're about to discover is going to change your life forever and create memories that will last a lifetime. La, 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 la. There it is, guys. The new Zoo Revue. 50 years ago, and it's still just an amazing memory of mine. And if you loved Doug and Emmy Jo from the show, guess what? They live right here in Celina, Texas. And you're going to love this episode because Doug and Emmy Jo sat down with me and we talked all about the new Zoo Revue, all the years in between, and what they're doing today. So guys, sit back and let's talk to Doug and Emmy Jo. Guys, I am here right now, literally living a dream come true. And what I'm doing is sitting here with somebody who is so famous in my world and has been so famous in so many worlds. I almost couldn't sleep last night thinking about talking to my two guests today. And I have right now in front of me none other than Doug and Emmy Jo. And I'm going to say Emmy Jo, even though I know it's technically Emily Jo. So Doug and Emmy Jo, their claim to fame, and I've already asked if I can say this, is the new Zoo Revue. But there's so much more to these people than just the new Zoo Revue. And we're going to get into that just a little bit. They have no earthly idea what questions I'm going to ask or where we're going to go, what we're going to do. But guys, how are we doing today?
Great. It's a beautiful day in Celina.
Ron, it's great to be here with you, man.
Well, thank you so very much. You guys are so kind. I have already enjoyed so much sitting here and getting to just converse with you guys, learn a little bit about the past and where you're at now, what's going on. And let me just say this. I was so amazed to find out that you guys live in Celina, Texas. So Celina, Texas, it's where everything is right now. Do you just love living in Celina?
I love it. And Doug does too. It's the town that I wish I could have grown up in. I love everything about it. It's a town filled with the kindest nicest people you would ever want to meet. And I am grateful to God that he led us here.
Absolutely. And you guys are actually going to a varsity game in a little bit. And so that tells me you're very involved in everything.
Well, we have a grandson who's on the varsity team. And so we're going to go and support him. It's just a scrimmage tonight, but hey, every game's important.
I love that. And I'm certain that you guys frequent different things on the square. We'll get into some of that in just a little bit. You've probably got places you like to eat and things like that. And I'm very, very interested in how in the world you got to Celina, Texas, all the way from California, and all the things that have happened in between. So we're going to kind of cover some of that stuff. But first of all, tell me about this. Let's go all the way back. How did you guys meet?
Well, we met in an acting company in Northern California doing summer stock. And she was the lead actress in every play. And I was kind of the musician tag-along and doing some bit parts. But that's where we met.
So give me an idea, Emmy. You're giggling right now. Tell me what you're thinking right now.
Well, I never thought I would ever marry anybody in show business, ever. But Doug was just different. You know, I used to go and listen to him play his songs in the music building, and I just thought they were wonderful. And then when I found out that every morning he would get up at like 5 a.m. and play basketball, that did it. Because I come from a very sports-oriented family, and I thought, well, you know what, this could work. And we just pretty much fell head over heels in love.
And so from what I understand, I always do my due diligence, right? I always do my research. And it looks like you guys were married right about the time that Zoo Revue kicked off. Tell me about that?
Yeah, well, to go back, my mom worked at a toy store in Whittier, California. And the owner of the toy store, I had connections with Mattel Toys and some of the media people back in the day. And my mom, being a good mom, said, hey, you got to meet my son. He writes and he does this and he writes songs. And so this lady said, well, let me talk to him. So she brought me in and she said, can you create a TV show, a kid's show? And you got to use this beanbag frog. That's all I'm going to tell you. So
okay.
We weren't married at the time, but I went back to the house. I was living with my folks. And I came up with Charlie the giraffe was first.
Right.
And I came up with Henrietta Hippo, and I named the beanbag frog Freddie. And I wrote the theme song, and then I went over to Emily's and said, hey, we got an opportunity to do this. You're going to play this, and I'm going to be Doug. And she can tell you a little bit from there.
Well, then we just started auditioning, I guess.
Well, we were fortunate enough to, Barbara had connections owning the toy store. So we actually got a live audition for the handlers who owned Mattel Toys at the time.
Wow.
So we went into this big amphitheater, just Emily and I, playing all the parts. That's why it's called Revue, R-E-V-U-E.
Right.
Because we were doing all the hats and all the stuff. And I was playing my guitar, and we did a whole little show with some songs. And, hey, this is what it's going to be. There was silence. Nobody said anything.
Right.
Thank you very much. We'll get in touch with you. So we were like, well, we don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But 2 weeks later, we got this call. They were building the set that I had designed.
We were married, and for our honeymoon, we did the pilot.
Wow.
That was the honeymoon.
Yeah.
And that was actually when you really designed the set, as I remember on the plane coming back from Dallas.
Yeah. So we went and did the pilot, and that was the start of it. And we had no idea that Mattel was going to, love the show like they did.
Right. And so fast forward a little bit, and I think you were in production for 4 or 5 years.
4 years. We did 196 half hours.
196 half hours.
And
that's an awful lot of work.
I wrote over 600 original songs for the series.
And I remember when I was young, there were there were toys or coloring books and lunch boxes and all of this sort of thing around it. So how was that back then? I mean, that's got to be just an amazing experience. You come up with this little show, they pick it up. Now you have like toys and things like that being made. Tell me about that. Was it awesome?
Well, we didn't know about all that because back in the day, we were two young kids. I had no attorney. I had no representation. I was one of those stories where you say, sign on the dotted line, which we did. So we had no idea
right
how big this would become or what was even going on in the background. Now we do, of course, but so we weren't really involved. We were just excited. I was just excited to be able to do a musical every day for kids that was that had positive messages. That was just a thrill for us.
And it was like every episode essentially was almost like teaching something. So about love or about kindness or just different things like that. So was that part of your original intention when you first started this? Was it like, we've got to reach out to some kids where it's 1972? Tell me about that.
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Doug just flowed out of his heart. And all of these concepts, he did every storyline. And he did all of the things like love and being kind, having good manners and all of that, telling the truth. But then he started branching out and he did like one on Shakespeare and the arts. And I would just sort of sat back and was amazed and thought, well, gee, I'm very fortunate. I certainly married the right guy.
Right.
But he was the creative impetus for the show. He wrote all the songs for the show, and I'm just enormously proud of him, honestly.
It was a thrill. It really was. And we had to go to bat for a lot of the scripts that we did because like one of the episodes was on greed. I was trying to get across that, hey, kids, be happy with what you have because you have a lot in comparison to the world. And so I went in, all the scripts had to be approved by Mattel. And we went in and said, hey, I'm going to teach the kids, be satisfied. What? Wait a minute.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't work. But eventually we did get it through. It passed. And Charlie sang the song, I Got What I Need. And it's a honky-tonk piano thing.
That's awesome.
You can go look up the show Greed,
right?
And that's the message.
So the shows are still out there, and they are so evergreen. I mean, they literally still live. You can go to YouTube and find them. They're just all over the place. And how does that feel now? So what are we, 50 years later? How does it feel to know that something you did so long ago is still out there?
Well, we do hear from a lot of people that enjoy the show and would like to see it on again so they can show their children and grandchildren. And it's something I didn't really think about when we were doing the show, but it's very rewarding to hear some of the stories about how maybe children who were lonely, they could identify with us and somehow it comforted them to watch our show. And so it's been a very rewarding experience as we've gotten older.
So you were both on set, and you're the two humans on the show, right? And you're interacting and doing all of these things with a frog and an owl and a hippo. How is that? I mean, what is that? What's that like talking to somebody that's in that sort of a costume and interacting?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I was completely starstruck because the dancer that was in the Charlie the Owl costume was Sharon Baird, who was one of the original Mouseketeers that I used to watch on TV. So I was just, it was my first television show that I'd ever done. And the lady that was in the Henrietta Hippo costume was a very, very famous dancer in Hollywood. And we've seen her actually in My Fair Lady and in any number of movies as a dancer. And I was really, really impressed and very starstruck, really, to be working with these people that had so much more experience than I did. I learned a lot from them.
There's a great interview out there right now, and I believe it's the lady who played Henrietta Hippo for a period of time, and there may have been more than one person.
Hazel Sherman.
Correct. And how she went through the interview process, how she changed her voice pitch in order to kind of impress them and that sort of thing. So, and there's so many collateral, like famous people who were either guests on the show or things like that. So tell me a little bit about some of those people, because it's been amazing when I look through to see like who'd been on the show or who you guys have met because of the show, where you've been, the Whitehouse, different places. What an amazing story. Tell me about some of that.
Yeah, it was amazing, because one of the ones that I remember and that I was so starstruck myself was Henry Mancini, the great film composer. And he's sitting in the rowboat with Freddie and me.
That's great.
You can imagine, I'm like, I can't even believe this is happening. But we had him as a guest star. We had Mr. Magoo, Jim Backus. He did a couple of them. We had Pat Paulson. I don't know if you remember him at the time. I mean, he was big on Laugh-In. And so we had all these just great personalities come on board. And we just had a blast with them, because they loved the show. They loved the message of the show. And they got to sing along with us and learn the songs, because we had rehearsal the day before we shot, and they could hear all the pre-recorded songs, and they just were like, this is so cool. So
it is amazing.
It was kind of a mutual love fest.
Right. And so I know I've seen pictures of you, Emmy Jo, with different, I think at the Whitehouse and things like that. So tell me about some of that.
Well, that's just incomparable. You just can't even believe that you're actually at the White House. And one year we went for a party they had for the children of the foreign diplomats, and Mrs. Nixon was there, and we performed in, I think, the East Room. And then another year we went for the Easter egg roll, and they didn't have any other acts at all but us. We were it. And we were on the stage with Tricia Nixon. And it was amazing. It's something I'll never forget. The White House is so beautiful at Christmas. It's almost impossible to adequately describe it, but I'm just thankful that we got to have that experience.
Yeah, there's literally no one else that has been able to have the experience that you guys did. And I'm going to ask you, and I feel comfortable asking you this, but was this a God thing?
I think so. I really do, because, well, for one thing, Doug and I did not have children when we did New Zoo Revue. And somehow, over the years, we've come to appreciate what it's meant to so many children. And I just believe that somehow or other, God wanted to use the tremendous gifts that he has given to Doug for that purpose, because it was his creative ideas that all came from God, even when he didn't realize it at the time, that birthed this show that has meant so much to so many kids.
But I have to tell you, at the time we were doing the show, I wasn't a committed Christian. And so I think all of these songs and everything was inspired now that I look back on it, but it wasn't like a conscious thing. It was almost like now I can see it as God breathed, but, because it changed lives, I think it changed my life too.
But isn't that the amazing thing about God, is that he will use you for his purposes for the betterment of the kingdom, if you will. And sometimes you don't even know. You couldn't possibly know. I mean, you guys were maybe 20 years old back then, and just you couldn't possibly know the effect and how this was going to go down the road. And in a world right now that's really just starving for wholesomeness and for things that seem to have just left society now, you guys stand as like a monument to the way it ought to be, to the way that it should be, to good, wholesome, loving, kind, just the family unit. I mean, everything that's right is sitting right here in front of me. So you guys, yes, it's amazing.
Well, God has blessed us, I can tell you that. And we have 3 kids and 11 grandkids. Right?
Wow.
So we, and of course they like the show and everything, but shows for kids now are just off the charts, weird, and just if you don't keep them in the space of 10 seconds, you've lost them.
And now I have a 9-year-old, and I am so saddened and so shocked at some of the things that they're exposed to at such a young age now. So different than it was.
Yeah, everybody wants them to grow up too soon.
It's very sad. It's very, very sad. Because even with our grandchildren, we're so careful. We always ask their parents, are they allowed to watch this? Or the kids will tell us the truth, and we'll say, are you allowed to watch this show? Because there's just a lot of immorality and things that children should not be exposed to.
You're right. I mean, it's amazing that our show did take hold like it did, because I think it hit a chord among the audience out there. And I think it's going to do that again, because we want to reboot the show. We want it out there for the next generation. And there's so many things that we could talk about now and do it in a way that is hip to the kids, but still gets the message of love and tolerance and acceptance across.
I think, and this is just my very unprofessional opinion, but I think that the world is craving that, because there's so much, like you said, so much that's just not right out there right now. Myself as a parent, I would love to have something good and wholesome to give my kids and to show them the balance to the world that they see every day now.
Yeah, we see that all the time now. We really do. And our show, when it premiered, we were up against the original Sesame Street. And so that was fast paced, and that was numbers and letters. And ours was different. Ours was, how do you behave? What's a good citizen?
Absolutely. It's that uniqueness that makes it just survive all these years and everything. So I love Sesame Street, and I'm not trying to throw any negativity towards Sesame Street, but I don't remember it like I remember Zoo Revue. You know what I'm saying? It was much more kind of canned production line stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't as homemade feeling and as authentic as what you guys did. So I think there's a significant difference there. And just, so and I'm sure you've heard this for 50 years. You've had people telling you how amazing you are. So we're going to, just in the nature and the spirit of what we do on this particular podcast is we're going to venture a little bit away from the obvious stuff, and we're going to have a little fun. I'm getting a little side eye right now from Emmy Jo. She may be kicking me out of this room in just a minute. She may be like, nope, we're done. What has life been like? So New Zoo Revue wraps up in the late 70s. What was it like coming to where you're at right now? You've got a production company. You found your way to Celina. Tell me about some of that middle ground there.
Well, after we left California, we went to Las Vegas, and Doug had an opportunity to head up the music division of a production company, and we got that through somebody at our church, actually. And that just led to the development of our company. And so we raised our children in Las Vegas. And when our older daughter got married, she had gone to A&M. And when she married, she moved to Plano. And I came down for our first grandson's first birthday, and I cried all the way home. And this is how good Doug is, because I just got off the plane. I was in tears, and I knew that I was going to never really get to see my grandchildren except, once or twice a year, maybe. And in those days, you could go right to the gate, and Doug just took me in his arms. And he said, honey, you go right back down to Texas and you buy that little farm that you've always wanted. And I did. And that's how our daughter was living in Plano at the time. And she said, Mother, no more than 30 minutes away. And believe it or not, in 2002 was Celina. So here we are. And then she and her family moved to Frisco. Then they moved up to Celina, and they live here now. And so it was, I guess for me, it was coming home, because that's the real me. The real me is just up on our little farm with our animals and playing with my grandkids. And I just leave all of the business really to Doug.
Well, and can I just say something right now? Just an observation as we're kind of talking through some of these things. Doug, she is your biggest. She loves you so much. She is your biggest cheerleader. Isn't that incredible? What a fantastic relationship.
Well, I have to tell you, because let's go back into the time machine, because nobody on the set of New Zoo thought our marriage would last. They thought this was going to be a Hollywood disaster.
Really?
Absolutely.
Why would they think that? Like, I don't understand.
Because it was the 70s at the time. I mean, it was,
Well, he had an afro. He was just in those days, Doug was a little bit rough around the edges.
Right.
I was a rock and roller. I mean,
when I came out to California, I didn't even bring a pair of jeans, because I only wore jeans on the farm. So I didn't fit in at all.
Here we are. We've been married 52 years.
Oh, you better get this right.
Coming up on 52 years.
Right.
So that's pretty good.
Sure.
We proved them wrong. It did last.
That's amazing.
And not to say it's not been perfect, but what is?
Yes, exactly.
But we had our struggles, just like I think everybody does. I mean, marriage is an adventure.
Absolutely.
And at one point, we actually had a recommitment service at our church with our 3 children. And it was actually our oldest daughter, who actually works for the school district now, Joanna Bennett. She was going into 6th grade, and Lori was going into 4th grade, and Bobby was going into 1st grade, and they all stood up. We said our marriage vows all over again.
Wow.
And that year, Doug said, I'll tear up, but it was wonderful. He said, I want to go to a Christian camp.
Wow.
And we found the most wonderful camp in California called Forest Home. It's like Pine Cove.
Right.
And I mean, Doug couldn't get enough of it. He took our son to father-son camp. I took the girls to mother-daughter camp. We went every summer to family camp. And I will just tell you, one year, when our son got married, Doug was his best man. And I will tell you that one year, they were supposed to go to father-son camp. And Doug got this call for this big job. But it had to be done that weekend. And he turned it down. He said, I'm not going to do that to my son.
Wow.
And instead, he took Rob, we call him Rob now, he doesn't want to be called Bobby anymore, to Forest Home for camp. And I just think, when God grabs us, our lives change in the most wonderful ways.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of where we are now. And every night we have that now with Christ as the center of our relationship, that has been so rewarding, and that we see that birthed out in our children and in our grandchildren. And I'm just thankful. I'm grateful to God.
Well, and we're so grateful because we've got you right here in Celina, Texas. And Celina, Texas is where it's all going on right now. So tell me about Celina. Do you love Celina?
Well, we do. I mean, we frequent almost every restaurant in town and have meetings at Lucy's, and we get takeout from Toasted Walnut almost every week, maybe twice a week.
Right.
I mean, and we just just love the whole environment.
So I'm kind of known. I never meant for this to happen, but I'm kind of known on this show for asking people what you might order at a particular restaurant. So let's just take Lucy's as an example. If I walk in and I see Doug from the new Zoo Revue sitting there eating, what am I going to see you having at Lucy's?
Well, it's got to be. I mean, for me, when I'm not on a low carb diet, it's got to be the chicken fried steak.
Oh my goodness, you are speaking my language. Absolutely. And even the low carb diet part. Oh, it's just so limiting, isn't it? But yes, I feel you. So the chicken fried steak, and then what are you going to get for your sides?
I'm going to have a salad.
Okay.
I'm going to have mashed potatoes.
Right,
and
right.
gravy.
There
and
you go.
Cream corn.
Gotcha. Love it. Love every bit of it. It makes me want to go over there right now and just order that. And Emmy Jo, give me an idea. Pick me a restaurant and give me something that you love from there in Celina, Texas.
Every week we get takeout from Toasted Walnut every week,
Right.
sometimes twice a week. And we always get the same thing,
Right.
the chicken salad
Okay.
with the avocado.
Nice.
And instead of getting flatbread, we stick to low carb and we get the cucumbers. But it's delicious.
Very, very good. What a great idea. So I go back and forth with this low carb thing as well. What a great idea. That's fantastic. And it's so good. And you know, some of the people around town and who run some of these restaurants, you know, Joey, and isn't it amazing what's going on right now in the downtown square is kind of, I keep saying it's where we're going to preserve our small town feel because we're going to grow.
Yeah.
We're going to grow. There's
Growth
just
is
no
inevitable.
stopping it. That's right. There's no stopping it. You guys have been in Celina for roughly how long now?
Since 2002.
So you've been here 20 years, and you've seen a lot of change in those 20 years.
Yeah.
And so are you guys going to be okay with all the growth? I mean, 350,000 people coming to this city.
I am on the museum board. And the reason I joined the board is because I love the history of Celina. And I think it's very important to preserve it and honor it and respect it. And I would like to just say right now, if anybody has not been to our lovely museum, Doug did the website, because I'm on the board, I
Right.
could say, Doug, how about a website for the board? And he has done this wonderful website, and it's got the hours and a lot of things that you can see at the museum. And I think that we're just blessed to have this little gem of a museum. When we travel around Texas, we like to stop and see the museums, and I think ours is pretty much tops of all the community museums that we've seen.
Well, it was fun doing the museum website because in it there's a section called Read All About It, and it's the Celina record going back to 1911, and
wow.
all of them are online. And you can search by year and month and go and see the headlines of the day.
That is awesome. I had no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and you ought to see it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, I'll definitely be checking it out.
And also, we have one honoring our veterans, and that was also a great section to read.
Very, very good. So we're literally sitting here right now in a house that I happen to own. And, you can buy a lot of different things in Celina right now, but I prefer this. This is over 100 years old. So do you love this since you're into the museum, the history, and things like that? Do you guys just love this over 100-year-old house we're in?
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's
it's just awesome.
Beautiful.
And to preserve the essence of it is really important, I think, because, we're in a throwaway society now. I mean, we're in a fast-paced, how quick can I get it? Then how quick can I throw it away? And I know I've experienced this because having a business in Las Vegas, when can we blow up the next hotel, casino, and build a new one? I mean, there is no history there. There's history, but it's questionable.
No,
So, to say
you're
the
right.
least.
You're
But,
right.
and that's one of the things I love starting my business here again from Vegas is the fact that we can lend a lot of expertise to businesses here and help them grow in the right way.
And so that's something I want to talk about. What are you doing right now business-wise? So it's called Laguna Productions. Am I correct about
Yes.
that? Okay, tell me all about that. What do you do and what are you involved in now with Laguna Productions?
Well, first of all, it's called Laguna because we want to bring production quality from Hollywood and California everywhere we go.
Right.
And we like to vacation in Laguna Beach.
There you go.
Hence the name Laguna. I want to get that straight.
Right.
And the other thing is we're kind of we are a full service production company.
Okay.
We can do high end things, but videos don't need to be expensive. I mean, they can, if you light it right, if you have good audio, you can make things happen, and we were fortunate enough to do Cleve Razor of Razor Insurance. We did a whole campaign for him. It was actually on the air in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And so we can do it all. We did the website for the museum.
So all of that is kind of just in your blood. You started off doing, producing, creating your own show. And now here we are 50 years later, still involved, still doing it. You're in Celina. Would you say that your services right now are a good fit for many of the businesses that are in Celina right now?
I think it is because, a lot of them don't have a branding and they need to brand their product. And that we're kind of experts in that.
Gotcha. So how would someone find you if they wanted to contact you and say, hey, I'm much like Cleve with Razor Insurance and that sort of thing. We would like to have some maybe material for social media or do an advertising campaign or something on our website. Would love a video for our website. How do they reach out to you?
Well, they can go to our website, which is lagunaproductions.net.
Okay.
And they can see all of our services. There's a phone number there, but they can also call me directly. I'd rather that happen.
And that's what's so awesome about it. Like, we're in Celina, Texas. We have these celebrities, and I mean celebrities right here, and they're willing to come and help your business succeed by putting their gifts and talents to work for you. So I think that's amazing.
That would give us a lot of satisfaction. And it has, just from the things we've done in town.
And you have a lot of experience with all of this stuff. So it's not like, I'm more recent to all of this stuff. I'll do video and I'll do this sort of thing like we're doing right now, but I don't have the experience you have. You guys have done this for so long and you've seen everything. You know what's right. I'd throw a light on a scene or something and you'd probably walk up and be like, let me fix this for you.
Well, I mean, just to give you a little history of some of the things we've done, we had the privilege of doing the capture of the U-505 submarine for the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry.
Nice.
We literally cast it to match the people to recreate that capture of the submarine.
Right.
And that exhibit is still playing back there in
That's
Chicago.
Amazing. Isn't that awesome?
So little things like, not little things, but things like that we've done throughout our business career.
And so if somebody finds you, like, give me an idea of a local type job you'd like to do. So it'd be video creation, production, that sort of thing. Is that kind of your sweet spot?
Yeah, that would be the sweet spot, but it's everything. If they need a website, if they need, radio, I mean, that's still viable media right now.
Right.
And I've had to reinvent myself, as you know, in this business. You have to reinvent yourself because when we did New Zoo, we did it on 2-inch videotape.
Right.
Which you had to splice.
Right. Like, and literally.
Literally.
Yes.
We did our recordings, our music on 24-track, and we had to sync them together to get 48 tracks.
Wow.
And now on a computer you can get 100 tracks.
100%. It's a whole different world, and in a lot of ways it's easier. It's gotten easier maybe in the sense that the equipment is lighter and more movable, and there's things that have gotten better, but don't we miss sometimes the old stuff?
Well, it's not the old stuff, but I find that you can't do everything on an iPhone.
Right.
Because it's not lit well, it's not recorded well, and it's
Absolutely.
People may not know what's missing in their production, but they know something's missing, and the people that watch it know something's missing.
Absolutely. So let's venture into a few fun questions, and then I'm going to get you guys out of here because I know you've got the game to go to, and I could keep you guys until tomorrow. I'd love to just sit here with you guys. I would order something from Lucy's or wherever you want, toasted walnut, and we could just sit here for hours and talk. But I would like to do this. Maybe if you guys feel like it, if you don't just absolutely hate this after it's all said and done, I'd love to do another one with you guys. I think it'd be so much fun.
Sure.
Yeah, so interesting. And
we've got a lot of stories.
So much to offer, just so much to offer. And I just don't, I know we can't even start to scratch the surface today, but sure. Now there's been a little bit of finger pointing going on, trying to decide who's going to answer these questions. So these are definitely going to create a little bit of that now. Okay. So you guys, I'm going to let y'all work that out between the two of you, but either one of you, what's your best tip for making the world a better place?
Well, my best tip is I just think faith in Jesus, having a vital, living faith, and reading our Bibles and taking his promises to heart. I have found that God is very, very faithful to keep his promises. And my grandmother, her favorite Bible verse, I probably heard her say it 1,000 times. This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. And so that's what I would tell my grandchildren and what I tell them when they spend the night before they go to bed.
It's amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it. You guys are so genuine. It's so amazing. I love it. The world's so fake out there right now, and you guys are so real. So thank you for that. And I'm gonna, Doug, maybe you can do this one, okay?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just gonna go ahead and just throw this one straight at you because you have real experience in this. But if you could sit down with 3 famous people from history and have dinner, what 3 people might you invite to the dinner table? Give me 3 people that you'd love to sit down with.
Oh, man. Well, one would be C.S. Lewis.
Okay, that's good.
I would just love to
pick
his mind.
Absolutely.
Thomas Jefferson.
Okay, good.
That would be another one. And Abe Lincoln.
Wow.
So I think the combination of those guys, we would come up with a constitution that...
You're going to rewrite everything. That's awesome. That's amazing. So yeah, golly, that's greatness. So how about, I'm going to kick it over to you. Same question. Give me 3 people that you would like to sit down with, Emmy Jo. Just who would be interesting to sit down with?
Well, Queen Elizabeth.
Wow.
I would love to sit down for tea with Queen Elizabeth.
Nice.
Now that would be a thrill.
Nice.
And I'm sure there's lots of other celebrities and lots of other important people from history that I'd have to give that some real thought. But I have 2 friends that just came back from England that were there for the Jubilee,
right,
and brought me books that talk about, one of them talks about, just Queen Elizabeth and her reign. The other one talks about her faith, her Christian faith. And that's pretty special, too. She's a very strong Christian.
Wow, and that's very interesting. I had no idea. Very interesting.
I could tell you who she would want to have dinner with.
Okay, tell me.
Her grandmother and great-grandmother and her mom, if they could come back.
There you go.
For a dinner.
You go. I like it. Yes.
Wouldn't we all like to?
I know. That's just, I know, right?
Yeah.
So, Doug.
Yes.
If you could have a billboard right up there on Preston Road, a billboard, you can use it for any reason you want. It can be advertising for your business. You could put a message on it. You could literally do anything, and it's yours. What are you going to put on that billboard?
Well, I'm going to have to do what I put on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's always hope.
Wow.
So that's the name of my channel on YouTube.
Okay.
And that's kind of what I would put, because I think don't lose hope no matter what your circumstances are.
Right. Yeah, I like it.
You can get better.
Wow, that's amazing. What a great billboard and what a great message. And that would just that would impact people. That's all you guys do. Y'all just impact people. That's what you're good at. You say you're into video production stuff. You're not. Y'all are just into like world changing. That's what it is. So tell me this. If you guys hadn't taken this path, and what I mean is starting Zoo Revue and doing the video production stuff, what other way, if you could just kind of like reconfigure life and go in a different direction, what other directions might you have taken?
Well, I think if I had it to do all over again, I would do one of two things. I would either get involved in criminal justice or agriculture.
Wow, very, very interesting.
My dad raised beautiful Simmental cattle in Kauffman County. And having access to cattle here has been a real joy for me. They're not our cows, it's our wonderful neighbors.
Which is actually better, by the way.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. But that's probably what I would do, something like that.
I like that.
I'm glad that I had the experience with Zoo. It was absolutely wonderful. But, I've grown and changed over the years.
Absolutely, right? So I want to ask you this. This isn't one of my fun questions, but I'm just curious. Do you guys miss that? Do you miss Zoo Revue? Do you miss it?
I don't get me wrong. I love the fact that people appreciate it. And I love the fact that there's going to be an opportunity, hopefully, for it to be back on the air someday. But I don't miss performing at all. In fact, when our daughter was born, that was the last season of Zoo, that sort of was the cutoff point for me. I really wanted to just be a mommy and take care of my kids. And but I'm for Doug, I want him, all of his creative impulses to be fulfilled because he's extremely creative and he needs to have projects and things to do. And tell him about Kid Schwartz. Now that's interesting.
Tell me.
First of all, to answer your question, I don't know if I'd do anything different because
so you're kind of
this is my realm,
right?
Is creating stuff.
So you're pretty content with how it started and where it's come, and you probably wouldn't change much of anything.
No, I mean, in fact, the Lord protected me because I was in a rock band before I had the opportunity to do Zoo.
Really?
And we fronted for it was called CTA, Chicago Transit Authority. We did an opening act for them. My band did, and. But the Lord said, no, I want you in kids' TV.
Yeah. I gave you talents. And although you're trying to use them this way, I want you to use them this way.
And that was a real blessing.
Wow.
But anyway.
I like that. So tell me, she just mentioned, is that related to what you were just talking about? How?
Well, it's another kid show, and it's teaching Bible verses to kids in like a 5-minute format.
Right.
But it's in the form of a graphic novel where you see the text that the voiceover is saying, and they learn to read while they're enjoying the show.
Very, very, very good.
So,
I like it.
You can see an episode on our website.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to be going and checking it out.
It's called Sports in the Trackers.
Okay, that's very, very, very cool. I love that you guys are so still involved in trying to improve people's lives, be it via helping them with their business and doing the video production, or being involved in your grandkids' life so much and doing things like this. I mean, it's just amazing. So I think I already know your answer to the next question, but I'm going to ask anyways because I want to hear you say it. So, and I'm pointing to Emmy Jo right now. What makes you smile?
Oh, just a lot of things. Just being alive makes me smile.
Right.
I look at every day as a gift. I really do. Every day is a gift, and to be able to enjoy each other and our family, and we have wonderful friends here in Celina that I'm so thankful for. They are just a huge blessing in our life, and that makes me smile.
I can say one other thing that makes her smile, our donkey.
Yeah. Carlos this donkey makes me smile.
All right, so tell me about that. Now, I know a little bit about it. I know that you got one of Carla Vargas' donkeys, and she was on the show. She's an amazing donkey rescue person. And just a good human being. Tell me about this.
She gave us the perfect donkey. This little donkey is blind in one eye. He was in a kill pen, and all he wants is to have somebody to love him. And he gets along so well with our pony. And our pony has always sort of been the submissive one because he's small. Well, now he's got somebody that he's a little bit bigger than, so it gives him the chance to be bossy. And but they get along great, and I just love him. He's like if I could bring him into the house and put him on the couch, I would.
And some people do that. Now, is this a mini donkey or a full size?
I think he's full size. I know nothing about donkeys. I'm going to learn from Carla.
Right.
And I'm just waiting for her to get back into town. And then she and I are going to have a meeting. But I think that what she's doing down there, rescuing those donkeys from those kill pens, is just wonderful. And I'm so thankful that the city of Celina is supporting her and helping her and encouraging her, because this is just a great thing that she's doing.
Absolutely. So, and what's the donkey's name?
Simba. It was Jack Sparrow, but I told our grandchildren that they could name the donkey, they could rename the donkey, and they said, well, Granny, we know that we really would prefer a lion, but we know you're never going to get a lion, so can we just name the donkey Simba? And I said, sure.
That's awesome. I love it. So this is a joint question. What makes you guys such a great team? Because you're amazing. What's the secret here?
Well, in my opinion, we laugh.
You have a good time.
Yeah, we don't take things that serious. I mean, we take serious things seriously, but if you can't laugh at yourself and situations, then you're just taking life too seriously.
Absolutely. And you've got a donkey named Simba.
I just think you have to find laughter and humor. I'm sure Emily might have something else.
No, I think that's good. We just get along very well, Doug and I do.
You do. And you could kind of see the magic even back in the day, and it's still here. Still here.
Thank you. But and another thing, and this is for all the couples out there, give yourself some space. Give yourself a quiet time.
Kind of by yourself, doing your thing.
And then bring that good self back to the relationship.
I like it. No, I think that's fantastic advice, and that's exactly what the world needs. So now you're not helping the kids. Now you're helping the kids that grew up. So I like that.
Well, everybody needs to have, in any relationship, you need to have some personal time away, just by yourself, or to do whatever you want. And Doug is so good about that, because I've got some girlfriends here in town that I'm really close friends with, and we'll go out to dinner maybe once every 6 weeks and once a month, whatever. And Doug always says, well, you girls, you stay out till 10 o'clock if you want.
That is awesomeness. I love it. It's fantastic. Guys, it's been amazing, and I hope to see you at Lucy's. I hope to see you at Toasted Walnut. Around
don't
town.
Forget
Papagayos.
We love
every
fajitas.
Friday or Saturday night I'm there. So yes, it's great things. You love Celina. Celina loves you. You guys are amazing. And we're definitely doing a number 2. I don't care if I have to come over there and take care of your donkey for you. We're doing part 2 because I have so many other things that we want to talk about. And I've never done a part 1 and part 2. So this will be the first one.
Well, I appreciate you having us on. It's an honor to be here and to be in Celina, really.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you so much, and God bless you guys.
And let's go Bobcats.
There you go. Wow. That is literally all I can say. Doug and Emmy Jo from the new Zoo Revue. Now, let me just tell you, they were everything that I wished they would be. And even more. They had a huge impact on my life and on countless thousands of others. And it's so crazy how God's plan brought them all the way from Hollywood to Celina, Texas. Now, they're very active in the community. So you may see them at a local restaurant or at a football game. And not only that, but they're available to help you with video production, with website creation, social media, and so much more. You can find Doug at lagunaproductions.net. And by the way, now I'm a huge fan of the Celina Museum that Emmy Jo was talking about, and you can find that at celinamuseum.com. So what's next? Well, I've got it on the authority of a little owl that there's a whole new world of new Zoo Revue on its way. And it's all centered around the original vintage television series that we all love so much. I can't say too much else about it, but let's just say if I was excited before, I'm even more excited now. And if you're as big a fan as I am, then guess what? I got Doug and Emmy Jo to agree to autograph a vintage 8x10 photograph of them from back in the new Zoo Revue days. If you want that, we're going to give it away in a little contest. So all you've got to do is share this episode on your social media, throw it on your Facebook page, tag us so that we see it. And then we're going to hold a little drawing here before the next episode of CelinaRadio.com. And hopefully you will be the winner of a really, really awesome picture that's just going to take you back to our childhood. Now, guys, CelinaRadio.com is going to be all over town at tons of events that are coming up, and we've got more fantastic guests coming on the show. So come back next week for another adventure in Celina, Texas. And guys, until then, God bless, and I'll see you on the next show.
So you see, Freddie, we want you to have this money we collected for the swing, and we want you to buy a new record player.
But gee, I don't understand. Why are you doing this?
Because you're our friend, Freddie, and we love you.
But you love the money, too. It was going to buy you the swing.
But our love for you is most important. There are all different kinds of love, Freddie.